Hi INFJs and autistic INFJs. So today I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I have very little notes today. I was actually just having a thought around INFJs and that inner accepting who we are, feeling comfortable in our skin. Lots of us struggle with this. I know I did for ever. And my coaching clients, this comes up lots with them. So today, my thoughts on this was I wanted to share with you a piece of my journey of how I got to a level of acceptance, inner acceptance for myself. See, the thing with an INFJ and autistic INFJ is from the outside, we look like we have everything together, right? We look like we're okay with who we are and we're confident and we're really good at that masquerade, right? Putting on that mask of who we're not. But inside's chaos going on. We've got turmoil where lots of us can't accept who we are, whether it be from past stories, trauma, rejection, whatever it may be, right? That all feeds it. And we get very uncomfortable being in our skin because we feel that we're a very wrong kind of a person. Everything we do, every thought we have, we're just wrong, right? When we're in this space, it really holds us back. So today, that's what I want to do. I want to share a piece of my journey that took me to a whole new level of self-acceptance. Now, with this, I'm not saying that you have to do this exact same journey. Everybody's journey is different. I'm just going to share with you my journey on this and how it led me to having different perspectives about things and got to a whole new level of acceptance for myself. And again, I have no notes, so I really don't know how this is going to go. I hope it goes good and I hope I stay on topic, but I'm going to warn you, I may not. That's just how I roll when I don't have notes. That's why I usually make notes. Okay, so welcome to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad you found it. I hope you find it helpful. I'm Trina Bretnell. If we haven't met before, I'm an INFJ and I'm also autistic. I like coming on here and sharing things that I have learned along the way with hopes that it will help a fellow INFJ or autistic INFJ feel seen, heard, understood, and less alone, because that would have made a huge difference for me years ago when I was in a space where I absolutely hated who I was. And, I'm not even going to go down that path of what I thought of myself because it's bad. So I hope this was helpful. If you're returning to my channel, I'm glad you came back. I'm grateful for all of you guys, all my viewers. You guys are amazing. If you have something you would like me to talk about, please feel free to put it in the comments. Or if you don't want to, I get that. Feel free to email me. I'll put my email in the description of this video. And also, my dog is old and he's huffing here. So if you hear huffing and panting, it's him. He climbed up the stairs all by himself today and that's a big job for him. He's old and he's out of shape. All right, so let's get into this. When we are stuck not having any inner acceptance of who we are, it keeps us stuck. Even though I know I just repeated myself on that, but it really does keep us stuck in life, right? We get into this space when we don't accept who we are. We really focus on everything that's bad in our life, everything that we don't have, everything that we would like to have. Maybe it's the job, maybe it's the bank account, maybe it's a car, maybe it's just happiness. We're just not happy and we just want that happiness. Maybe it's the relationship, whatever it may be, right? And we get focused on those things, and that's what we stay focused on when we can't accept who we are and truly love who we are. And that's where we stay focused on. When we do this, more of that we're focused on comes. There's a whole science behind it. It's like when you see this fancy red car that you really, really want, and it's like an unusual red car. And then once you go and look at it and decide that, yeah, you think you're going to buy it, you see this car everywhere, right? It's how our brain is wired. It gives us more of what we have our focus on because it thinks that's what we want to see more of. It doesn't know when it's negative, when it's helpful. It doesn't know. It can't tell the difference, right? So when we're at that level of non-acceptance, when we're not feeling okay with who we are, not comfortable in our own skin, that's the best way to describe it. We're just not comfortable in our own skin. We get more of that back. We need to get to a place where we accept what is going on around us. We accept where we are in life. And we accept who we are. Now that sounds like, okay, well, how do you do that? It sounds easy enough, but how do you do that? I mean, I struggled for years. My pivotal moment, or some may call it like a spiritual awakening. I don't know. I call it pivotal moment, spiritual awakening, whatever. It was back in 2012. I'm not going to explain to you what triggered it, but this is when I made the change. I hated who I was. I was so embarrassed about who I was. Again, on the outside, you may not have seen any of that. I hid it pretty well. I was even embarrassed for my family because they had to be related to me. That's how much I hated who I was and wouldn't accept who I was because I felt so different. The list goes on. I'm not even going to get into how I felt about myself. I couldn't even look in a mirror. I hated myself so bad. There was nothing good about myself. And I didn't want to do this anymore. I was exhausted and I was getting pulled out into nature. I had a job that I hated. It was very toxic for me. And after spending between 8 to 10 hours a day at that job, when you come home, you're exhausted and you need to go and blow the cobwebs out is what I called it. So I would go out into nature. And it was just kind of right at the beginning of winter. Now where I live, winter is a very long season. It's like one of our longest seasons. So I grabbed these old snowshoes that I had that I didn't use a whole lot and I strapped them on. I took my dog who was panting here a little while ago. He was just a pup at the time, full of energy. And we started going snowshoeing out into nature. Again, this is what I was pulled to do, so I just gave into it, and this is what I did. It was one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life. Going out into nature calmed that, it calmed, it silenced that turmoil that I had going on in my head. You know what I mean? If you're not accepting who you are, truly accepting who you are, truly loving yourself, you know what I mean when I say that turmoil going on. There's lots of thoughts going on that pick ourselves apart, that identify or will remind us of things that just are not going right and how we failed again and how this relationship isn't going. And then we'll start ruminating on past experiences. You know the turmoil. I don't really have to explain it, right? So going out into nature quietened that. It silenced it. It was amazing. This going out into the nature allowed me to step back and see things from a different perspective. Now, where I'm at now, I can see that it was actually a form of meditation I was doing. I didn't know it back then, but that's what it was. So I would snowshoe out. And I have this pond on my land, and I would go to the pond. It was frozen over, and I would sit there and I would listen to it snow. Did you know you can hear snowflakes falling? It is the most amazing sound in the world, hearing snowflakes fall. Now, I would go out, then I discovered that going out at dusk, after I got home from work, it would be dusk. It's so beautiful. Like the earth is like a gray, blue slate color. And I go out there, especially when it's snowing, not a whiteout snowstorm, but just a snowstorm. And I would go out and I would just watch as it got darker and darker and listen to the coyotes howl. Now that's amazing. That's a gift. That didn't cost me any money. That didn't cost me anything. I just simply had to go out there and do it. Doing this, though, helped me to start identifying how I was feeling. We are very much a feeling type of a person. We need to know our feelings, our emotions. Many of us don't. For a few reasons. The main reason for most of us is because we were told they were bad. To have feelings, to be a feeler, to have those deep, how we would feel them very deeply, it was bad. So lots of us would push that aside and not allow those feelings to come. We need to feel those feelings because those feelings are what guides us into identifying what is good for us and what is not good for us. So when we close that off, we have no idea what we're doing. We're running around like a chicken with our head cut off, not having a clue what is going on, how we're feeling, what we should be doing. So of course we're feeling lost and we can't accept who we are. And the list goes on. So anyway, this is what I did. I went out there and sometimes I'd snowshoe around the pond. My dog would just play and run around and burn off his energy. And sometimes I would just sit and listen to it snow. And it was amazing. And I got to know those feelings of what felt good. Well, that felt good. I liked that feeling. I wanted more of that feeling, right? And I got to identify what didn't feel good. Then summer rolled around. I couldn't snowshoe anymore. So I was like, oh, well, that's too bad. I really like that. So I just started hiking around my land. Not much in the mountains because I don't really like hiking in the mountains. I do love the mountains and we live close to them, but I didn't do much in the mountains, just around the land with the trees and the animals and whatever. And starting, like by this time, I would intentionally go out and look for amazing things. So the one that stands out in my head the most is watching a frog. It was in August and it was so hot. And there was a frog in our pond floating just a little bit under the water on a lily pad, just floating the whole hot afternoon away. This led me into taking pictures. I love photography. I love taking pictures. I don't share a lot of my pictures, but I love doing it. Again, it was quieting my brain so I could feel those feelings of what I liked and didn't like. Doing this then led me to being able to identify people that were not serving me. And in fact, a huge portion of the people that were around me were people that gave me the feelings that I didn't like, that I didn't even know that I didn't like. I had to step away from them. They were the people that I couldn't see at the time when I was in that space of non-acceptance. They were the ones that were feeding my inner self to not accept who I was, that were keeping me down, that were adding to those stories about myself that wasn't true, that I was stupid, that I was fat, that I had no talent, that I was boring, that I was plain, that I was lazy. Oh my gosh, the list goes on. Anyway, these people kept me down. And it helped me identify that I had to step away from them. Step back. They weren't serving me. I didn't need them in my life. Doing this led me down a whole new path. Once I started following these feelings of, oh, I don't like that feeling. I'm not going to go there. I don't care what society thinks. I like this feeling and this is where I'm going to go. Once I started following those, it led me down this whole new path where I met different people, where I did different things. And that's when I started writing. And it turns out that I did have things to offer. I love writing. I'm a good writer. I love writing fiction stories. And I have tons of fiction stories in my head because of how we use escapism. As an INFJ, I used it to my advantage with my fantasy worlds I created. I write them in stories now. Like I said, I love photography. I love reading, which I knew that I loved before. However, I didn't read like self-help, personal development. I wouldn't read about topics I was interested in because I thought that was just for like crazy people. Because that's what I was led to believe, right? But yet I was drawn to them. In a bookstore, I'd go through the self-help section and I would just look at them. I would never buy one because, ooh, no, society doesn't like that. Only if you're crazy, you buy those. Ooh, I'm not going to buy those, right? But once I got to that place, I started buying those books and I started learning more about myself. And this education, people cannot take that away from you, right? Again, this led me on the path. So you get where I'm going with this, is it led me on the path, the journey of getting to acceptance. Accept who I was, getting to love who I am, and leaning into it, embracing it, and not caring about everything else, all about that noise all around me. I didn't care about it. I still don't care about it. I am who I am. Up until 2012, I lived with the thought that everybody else's level of comfort was my responsibility. It turns out it's not. Isn't that amazing? Everybody else's level of comfort is their own responsibility. It's not mine. So I could live the way I wanted to live. It might not be the way mainstream society thinks we should live, but I don't care because I'm not mainstream society. Mainstream society. I'm me, and that's who I am, right? Getting to this point, getting to this level, I could love and accept who I am, right? Once I did that, those thoughts, most INFJs experience trauma in their life, whether it be from rejection, name calling or nasty things teachers do to you or humiliation from friends and family, whatever it may be, right? Those still come up for me. That's healing that I need to do. And healing is like an onion that you peel back in layers. I'm not going to get into that. That would be a whole nother ballgame. We're not going to talk about that. So yes, that will still come up. Do I ruminate and relive it? No, I don't. Because that experience helped build who I am today. So I'm grateful for it. Do I have to heal from it? Yes. Am I grateful for it? Yes, I am, because I love who I am. And like I just said, that experience helped bring me to who I am today. Had I not quieted, had I not silenced all of that turmoil in my head and got into my body so that I could learn how I was feeling and what those feelings meant to me, and then follow them, I never would have come to this place. I really believe I never would have got to a place of acceptance of who I am, to feel comfortable in my skin. So that's my journey. I hope you found it interesting. I hope that I didn't repeat myself. Again, I had very little notes, a few little jotted down things. I hope it was helpful. You do not have to do the same journey as me. You do not have to rush out, go buy snowshoes, move somewhere where it snows, and go out snowshoeing so you can hear the snow. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this was my journey. I want you to follow what is pulling for you. Everybody's different. So maybe yours is doing something completely different, volunteering somewhere, or I don't know what yours would be, but everyone's is different. This was mine. But when you do it, make sure it's someplace that's going to quiet that turmoil that you've got going on in your head, so that you can get into your body, you can pull away from it, get into your body and start to learn how you feel and follow it from there. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like my video. I also invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And yeah, I really do hope this was helpful or interesting, or gave you something to think about anyway. Gave you hope that, yeah, you know what? You can get to a place if you're an INFJ or autistic INFJ. It is possible to get to a place where you feel comfortable in your skin, where you feel accepted. You accept yourself. It is. I'm a walking example of that. So it is possible, but we do have to do a little bit of work to get there. But it's beautiful work, and it's an amazing journey, and love every moment of it because it's incredible. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back real soon with another fantastic video. Until then, remember, you are good enough just the way you are. Talk to you later. Bye for now.